Jones, and I'm the creator of the Little Science Thinkers curriculum. I appreciate this opportunity to share how this program can support your science instruction. So in this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the curriculum. I'll walk you through how the lessons are structured, discuss how it can be implemented in either a traditional classroom or a homeschool setting, and I'll explain how it aligns to different science standards. So just some quick info about me. I was a New York classroom teacher for over a decade, taught students from grades kindergarten through 5th grade, and I've been writing educational curriculum now for over 10 years. I began developing the Little Science Thinkers and Little Social Studies Thinkers programs back in 2018. And you can find me on Teachers Pay Teachers or on my website, mrsjonesclass.com. So my experience as a classroom teacher is what really led me to develop these programs. And as we know, teachers know, teaching science in particular in the primary grades can present several challenges. So teachers and families are looking for materials that are developmentally appropriate, that have optimal direct instruction time, which generally aligns to age-appropriate intervals, so roughly 5 to 8 minutes of direct instruction of new content for a 5 to 8-year-old child is ideal. So some other challenges include finding ways to present concepts that keep your students engaged, finding materials that are manageable for you to prepare, and designing lessons that fit within your limited instructional time. Also, knowing what to teach as far as the standards. Now, just a side note, when I was in the classroom, I had a manual from a big publishing company with lessons that looked good on paper, but really weren't realistic for myself or my students. So these challenges are what really pushed me as a teacher to develop a student-friendly science curriculum. I needed something that was easy to use, consistent. I wanted something that my students really looked forward to every day and something that I looked forward to teaching every day. So this curriculum hopefully meets all of those challenges for you, just as it did for me. So the Little Science Thinkers is a comprehensive digital curriculum for kindergarten through 2nd grade. And each grade level has its own unique curriculum that's written specifically for children that are learning at that grade level. The units are all downloadable, and the files allow you flexibility for how you choose to use those materials, if you want to use printed version or digital. So each unit is designed to introduce students to the foundational science concepts such as earth science, life science, physical science, while also developing your students' essential scientific skills through hands-on learning, observation, questioning, and discussion. Every unit, every student material is written specifically for students that are learning at that grade level. However, there are no grade level labels on any of the student-facing materials, so grade level units can really be used flexibly, either for simplification or for enrichment. The program is 100% aligned to the next generation science standards, which most states in the United States use or have adopted in some part. They do also align to many other state curriculums, and I can talk about that in a few minutes. We'll talk about standards. There is minimal teacher prep required for each unit, and the materials that really are required or suggested to use in some of the lessons are things that really are commonly found in either your classroom or in your home. A couple of the units do require some special materials, like you need to get some kind of seeds to use in the plants unit. You need soil in the 2nd grade earth systems unit, things like that. But generally 98% of the materials you need for the curriculum are things that are really easily accessible. So as I said, the curriculum covers a range of foundational science topics for K-2 learners, and each unit builds on their content, their science content knowledge, and their scientific thinking skills. So in the next couple slides, I'm going to list each grade level's curriculum and the main ideas that are explicitly taught in each of the units. So in the full curriculum for kindergarten, we have 75 teacher-scripted lesson plans. There's 75 teaching PowerPoints, and there's also 46 printable or projectable nonfiction read aloud books. So these are the core units in kindergarten. We have our senses, we have seasons and weather, Unit 2 is properties of matter, Unit 4 is plants, Unit 5 is animals, Unit 6 is force and motion, and then there are some single additional lessons that are in the full curriculum on light energy, Earth's materials, and then caring for Earth's natural resources. There are 2 supplemental mini units for kindergarten. There is a space mini unit and an apples mini unit, and those can be purchased independently of the full curriculum. So underneath each of these units, you'll see it lists, these are not all of the lessons, there's more lessons than are what's listed here under each unit, but these are kind of like the main topics or the main concepts that are taught in each of the units. And here's a curriculum overview for first grade. So there are 75 lessons in the first grade curriculum, along with the teaching PowerPoints and nonfiction read aloud books. So Unit 1 is on matter and energy. Unit 2 is all about space. Unit 3, we're learning about Earth's surface. Unit 4, we're learning about the survival of living things and some really cool in-depth topics that have to do with that. We're learning about weather for Unit 5. And then there are 3 lesson packs in the first grade curriculum. So there is a lesson pack on force and motion, one on scientists, and we talk about discovery and innovation in science and what that means, and another one on parts of objects, which is a kind of just like how things are made and how objects can be assembled and disassembled. There is also an additional supplemental unit for first grade, and that is on the human body, which talks about the body systems that can be purchased independently of the full curriculum. Here are the second grade units. So Unit 1 is all about matter. Unit 2 is all about living things. Unit 3, habitats. We learn about all the different habitats on Earth's surface, and Unit 4 moves into Earth systems. And as far as the supplemental unit for second grade, there is the same one that was included in the first grade slide. That is on the human body. That unit can be used in either kindergarten or first grade. I do want to note that as of the time of this video, which is mid-2026, there are 60 lessons in the second grade curriculum. However, this curriculum will be updated later this year to bring that number to around 70. All right, so each unit includes a full set of instructional material. So we're going to talk about what is in each unit now. So this includes detailed teacher scripted lesson plans, which I'm going to show you examples of those in a moment. It includes nonfiction read aloud books, teaching PowerPoints, guided student activities, at least one for each lesson. Some lessons do have multiple activities, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Each unit includes vocabulary cards, workbooks with quick checks, daily assessments for the students, visual supports such as anchor chart models that you will make as part of your lessons. There's also some science investigations that are in each unit. There's experiments. There are hands-on science stations in every unit, and also a full unit review, which is usually in the format of a game, and a formal assessment with grading rubric for each unit. Now, the teaching approach that's used in all of the units follows a systematic and explicit instructional process, which is really the gold standard for education in elementary. Right. Students understand the learning target of the lesson first, so what they will be able to do at the end of each lesson. So, for example, in this natural resources lesson, students are going to be able to explain what a natural resource is, and then also identify what natural resources are on Earth. So after they understand the learning target, you are going to then provide them some scaffolded support or learning experiences for them to practice learning with that new information that they've just gained. You will also progress monitor them during each lesson. They'll have a workbook page that they will complete towards the end of the lesson by themselves, and a little quick assessment at the end, so that you can then check for your students or your child's understanding of the learning target or the goals for that lesson. So each lesson follows a very predictable structure. So the format is the same. In kindergarten through second grade, the lessons are all formatted the same. This is an example of a first grade lesson on renewable and non-renewable resources. And as you can see at the top, this is from Unit 3 and it's Lesson 6. So first, to start off with, you're going to want to review and prepare any materials that you need for the lesson. So typically that's things like accessing the PowerPoint or the read aloud book. It's gathering any materials like some chart paper or markers, making any copies if you do need that for the lesson. So you then start the mini lesson by discussing a guiding question. So your guiding question is what is going to guide your students' learning for the entire lesson, and it's going to allow your students to share any prior knowledge that they have on the concept or the topic. So this guiding question is, what are renewable and non-renewable resources? So the students are then you're going to talk about that before they've even learned anything. You're going to get an understanding of what their prior knowledge is on that topic. Then you're going to present the learning target, so what the student will be able to do by the end of the lesson. So boys and girls, by the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to explain the difference between a renewable and a non-renewable resource. So the guiding question and the learning target can be accessed there's printable versions for you in the content in the PDF file, or a digital version in the PowerPoint presentation. So vocabulary is introduced that's using either the printable vocabulary cards, or they're also included on the PowerPoint slides. So now, in each mini lesson, after you discuss the guiding question and the learning targets, the new material, the new content is then presented using a nonfiction read aloud book that is included. So the book is accessed, again, in either printable format or using the PowerPoint slides. Once the book is finished, you're then going to go back and you're going to discuss that guiding question again. So your new understanding, the student's new understanding of based on what they just read in the read aloud book is then going to be recorded, usually in a chart paper or anchor chart type of format, and that's included in the lesson. It's all written out for you. And once that's done, we're going to go to the activities. So usually students complete 1 or 2 activities that build on their understanding of the learning targets and the guiding question. So in this first grade lesson example, so we're switching gears to this is a different lesson. This is also from Unit 3, first grade. In this lesson example, which is about water moving, students are going to investigate how water can move rock and soil from one place to another. So they're going to do a little hands-on investigation for that. Now there's also a secondary activity that goes with this lesson. So some teachers do prefer breaking up lessons that have multiple activities like this. And like I said before, the units are very flexible, so you can spend 1 or 2 days on this lesson if you find whatever works better for your child or your students or your learning environment. All right, so once the lesson activities are complete, students are then going to independently complete a page in their science workbook. So there is a little packet of pages that you'll staple all together with a cover that the students will use as a science workbook, and there is usually 1 page in their workbook per lesson. So they'll complete that workbook page independently. There'll be a quick check at the bottom of the page. As you can see there, this one is a true and false, 3 questions for first grade. And you can use that quick check and that workbook page as a quick assessment, progress monitoring tool, and just really check for your students' understanding of what the lesson concepts were. So let me just go back real quick. That's the gist of what a typical lesson looks like, but I'm going to show you a little bit more in-depth look at just a few of these components to get you just a better idea of what these lesson parts really look like. So first, let's talk about the read alouds. So as I said before, every unit comes with nonfiction read aloud books. These books are used then to present the new content to the students. The books do use real high quality photography. There's no AI photos in any of these books. And here's a few example pages I'm going to go through. So this is a kindergarten level book from the Unit 3 Properties of Matter unit. So as you can see, the texts are really written in very kid-friendly language meant to explain more complex science topics in ways that the students can understand. That's at their level. So in this book, they're learning about solids, liquids, and gases, what matter is. Here's a sample of a first grade book. This is about resources, and in this lesson, students are learning about the non-renewable, renewable, and non-renewable resources, and the material is all presented to them in this read aloud book. And then in the second grade sample, this is a book from the Habitats unit. They're learning about marine habitats and what those are, what they're made of, what lives there, that kind of thing. So here's a few samples of the guided student activities that are found at each grade level. So here's an example from a kindergarten unit, first grade unit, and second grade unit. So these activities are really completed either together with your support, or the students can complete them in small groups if you do prefer that way. This is where the students really get to dive into the concepts with your support. So this is that scaffolded support you're giving them. And the science experiment. So every unit comes with one or more, usually more than one, science investigations and experiments. So these are activities that will require some additional materials. Like I said before, though, most of these materials are things you can find easily around your house or your classroom. So this is where they're really getting into some hands-on practice, allowing them to really do a deeper dive into the concepts that you're learning about. So as I said before, every unit comes with PowerPoint slides, teaching slides. Each lesson does, So if you do not have PowerPoint or Microsoft Office apps, no worries, you can upload the PowerPoint to your Google Drive, and then you just click File, Save As, and you can save the PowerPoint presentation as a Google Slide document if you prefer that way. So the PowerPoints can be used to project everything from the lessons, from the learning targets, the guiding question, the read aloud books are all in there, the student activities are in there, the workbook pages are in there, everything is in there for you. These really kind of guide your teaching as you're going through the entire lesson. Each unit comes with anchor chart models, so just photographs that I've made of the anchor charts that go with these lessons. You're going to create these anchor charts with your students as part of their learning during each lesson. And then at the end of each lesson, students will complete a page in their science workbook. So this is an sample of a kindergarten page, a first grade page, and a second grade page. So usually these are going to be completed independently as a way for you to kind of assess where they're at. You could just use the quick check for a quick assessment if you'd rather just do that, and then maybe support them if they do need some more support with the content that's on the workbook page. You can, feel free to do that. So science stations, these are included in every unit. There's typically 6 science stations in every unit. And most of them I do recommend spending 2 class periods on. So for example, the kindergarten unit 1 science station lesson, you're going to split that into 2 days, where you do maybe three rotations of the science stations on one day, and then the other 3 science stations you can do on the second day. So as I said before, these are hands-on. They really help your students deepen their understanding of that unit's topics and concepts. They do require some materials. I do have a list on my website, mrsjonesclass.com. If you navigate to the blog section, there is a blog post where you can download lists of all of the materials that are used in each of the units for the lessons, experiments, investigations, and the science stations. So the final 2 lessons in each unit are dedicated to a full unit review. Usually that's in the format of like a game type of thing where they're working with a partner and you do like a little quiz show type of thing. And followed by the next lesson, the last lesson in every unit, is a formal unit assessment. So here's a sample of what these formal assessments look like in kindergarten, first, and second grade. They also do come with rubrics for scoring, and scored on a 4-point rubric. You can use those rubrics that I include to help get your assessment scores. Now, how this works in a traditional classroom is one thing, how it works in a non-traditional or homeschool class is another. But for both, I would say flexibility is key, and no matter what setting you're in. These lessons are designed to take anywhere from 20, 25, 35 minutes up. Maybe in second grade they do take a little bit longer. But for kindergarten, it's typically 25 to 30 minutes. Second grade, you're pushing 35, maybe 40 minutes, depending on the grade level. But as I said before, the lessons can easily be broken into parts, extended or shortened based on your students' needs. You can use this curriculum daily. You can use it a few times a week. You can use it as part of a unit study. When I was teaching, I typically did 2 science lessons, 2 social studies lessons, or in the course of a week. But you can use these however you see fit. Most of the lessons are very, very low prep, as I said before, which makes it very practical for you to use at home or at school. And they also can be adapted for if you have multiple children at home and you're teaching them using one curriculum. They can be adapted for multiple children at different grade levels and allow you guys to learn all together. So the Little Science Thinkers curriculum is fully 100% aligned to the next generation science standards. The curriculum addresses all of the key disciplinary standards. It also supports the development of the scientific practices such as observing, asking questions, describing evidence. And I do have in my Teachers Pay Teacher store a free download which lists all of the units with their learning targets and then how they do align to the next generation science standards. I also have free downloads that align to other state standards. So if your state is not one of the ones that uses the NGSS, download that other document. If your state is not included in there or your school district is not included in there, please reach out to me just on my questions tab or send me an email. I'm happy to make an alignment for you if you do need that. So here's what some families who use the curriculum at home have to say. I did pull these reviews, 3 of these reviews directly from Teachers Pay Teachers, the website. So I encourage you to go in and read them. Read any of the comments on any of the grade levels that you're looking to purchase. If you would like some additional feedback, that feedback that's on the right there was from a homeschool webinar that I hosted. And I wanted to include it because it was one of the highest forms of praise I feel like that I've ever received, where a teacher came on and she said, I used your curriculum years ago. My kids are older now, but we use it at home, and years later, they're still bringing up things that they remembered from when I taught them when they were in kindergarten or first or second grade, which I found was really cool that the kids are still remembering these lessons years later. Here's a review from a teacher that's using it in a school district. The K through second grade curriculum is used by teachers in over 1,000 school districts across the United States and Canada. It's also exclusively used in some school districts, and here's an example. It is used in the Goose Creek School District in Baytown, Texas. All right, so here's the cost of the units as well as the full curriculum if you do choose to purchase that. So all of the units that are in the white rectangle, if you will, are included in the full curriculum, as well as those 3 lesson packs on light energy, earth materials, and caring for Earth's resources. Those are also included. The space unit and the Apples mini unit are purchased separately. These are all of the first grade units. Their prices individually, the first grade lesson packs, as well as the supplemental unit on the human body. So the supplemental unit is not included in the full bundle. That would be a separate purchase. Everything else in this box here is included in the full curriculum download. And for second grade, there are 4 core units right now in the second grade curriculum. As I did say, I do believe I said earlier that this curriculum in 2026 is getting an update, and there may be some additional lesson packs that are included. I should say there will be some additional lesson packs that will be included in this full curriculum. The human body unit is a supplemental unit that is not included in the full curriculum purchase, and so that can be purchased separately. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video today. I hope this overview has provided you with a better understanding of how the Little Science Thinkers program can support your science instruction in either your classroom or your homeschool setting. So I appreciate this opportunity to share my work with you. All units can be found on my website, mrsjonesclass.com, or on Teachers Pay Teachers, which you can find me at KarenJonesTPT.com. But as always, please reach out if you have any questions. If you're wondering if it's going to align to your standards, or you're wondering how to use something, I'm always just an email away. You can find my email right on my website, mrsjonesclass.com. It's Karen@mrsjonesclass.com. Or you can send a Q&A in on Teachers Pay Teachers. Shoot me your email address, and I will be happy to help. So thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great day.